ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we will continue with where we left off. We are now on the 13th sloka of chapter 14. So we will chant. Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Aprakasho pravrittascha.
अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च
प्रवृत्तिश्च
Pramado moha evacha.
प्रमादो
प्रमाद एव च
Tamasyetani jayante.
तमस्य
तमस्येतानि
जायन्ते
जायन्ते
Vivrithe kuru nandana.
विवृद्धे
विवृद्धे कुरु नन्दन.
So, aprakashaha. Aprakashaha means, Shankara defines, Atyantam avivekaha. Extremely non-discriminative. Which means in terms of gunas, what has happened?
Tamas more highest predominant.
Tamas has become predominant. The sattva guna has been suppressed. So, aprakashaha. Apravrittihi. Pravritti means atyantam pravritti abhavaha. Lack of any activity. Karmendriyas are done. So in the aprakashaha, the jnanendriyas are not functional. They have been suppressed by tamas. In apravrittihi, the karmendriyas are not functional, indicating that rajoguna has been overcome by tamas. So aprakashaha, apravrittihi. Rajoguna as well as sattva-guna have been overpowered by tamas. And tat karyam means the products of the suppression of the two gunas. What is the product? What happens if the two gunas, rajas and sattva are suppressed? He says, pramado moha eva cha. Not doing what is to be done. So delusion, conflict, making mistakes in what you do. So you don't know what you are doing. You don't know what you want to do. And for such a person, not much is possible. So this is the outcome of extreme tamas dominance. And remember here that avivekaha means, Shankara also add, avivekaha means mudata, lack of discrimination. And if you have a lot of such people around you, I mean, if hopefully none of us are like that, but supposing you have a lot of tamas dominant people around you, remember that you can do nothing but pray for those people. But don't forget to pray for yourself also, so that tamasic overpowering does not touch you. So everybody requires prayer. You also require a lot of prayer. And tamas etani jayante vivridhe. Tamas etani vivridhe jayante. All these are indicators of etani tamas vivridhe. Increase in the tamas factor. So he's telling us how to understand that tamas is dominant. Now we go to sloka number 14, we will chant. Yada sattve pravriddhetu
यदा
यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धेतु
tadottama vidam lokan. Sorry. Yada sattve pravriddhetu pralayam yati dehabhrit.
यदा
सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धेतु प्रलयं याति देहभृत्.
तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते
तदोत्तम विद्यां लोकान् अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते
बढ़िया क्यूटी
No.
पाई अच्छी लग रही है और क्या बच्ची तो
Sorry, I keep repeating. If there are people who are talking in your house, please mute yourself so that the recording does not get affected. Okay. So you're all Vedantics. Presumably that much awareness should be there. Tu. Tu means to distinguish, however. To distinguish from what? To distinguish from the previous sloka, which is talking about predominance of tamas. Yada dehabhrita pralayam yati. So dehabhrita is a person who is supporting a body, a person who has a body. Yada dehabhrita pralayam yati. When the one who has a body, pralayam here means death. Okay, mrityu. When a body dies, and when does he die? Sattve pravritte. When sattva is predominant, if a person dies, tada pratipadyate amalan lokan uttama vidam. Then he goes to those tada pratipadyate. Then he goes to those worlds, amalan lokan, worlds free from impurity, and uttama vidam, worlds populated by people who have the highest knowledge. Okay, so the linga topic, the linga topic which told you how to recognize which guna is dominant. That topic is over in the last verse, verse number 13. And here the topic of gati, travel after death, is taken up. So what is he saying? He's saying that, okay, before that, in his commentary here, Shankara says that the direction of the travel is influenced by two things, kama and raga. Okay. Desire and attachment are the two important factors which influence the direction of travel. Travel of what? Travel of the sukshma shariram after the physical body is gone. What is the difference between kama and raga?
Attachment is for something which you already have, and karma is a desire for something which you don't have.
Correct. So aprapta vishaye kamaha. What you don't have is kamaha. Prapta vishaye raga. Okay. Now the question is that fine. So Shankara said these two, kama and raga, they influence the direction of the travel. But you can ask, where is the source? What is the source of both these, kama and raga? It's important to know the source, right? And so Shankara says over here, sarvam gaunam evam iti. All are gunas indeed. The source is for both, is the guna only. Therefore, remember what is being said. It is the guna predominance in you which determines the direction of travel. I mean, guna predominance in you when at the time of your death. Okay, we already said earlier that you are born with a particular set of gunas, percentage of gunas. You can do sadhana to change them. And therefore, the sadhana is very important because you should be having the right set of gunas so that your travel is positively influenced. Therefore, remember that guna determines the next janma. That is what has been said. And so he says, Yada sattve pravrite deha bhrat pralayam yati. When an ajnani jivatma, so that you have to add over here, when a jivatmi ajnani dies, when sattve pravrite. Sattva pravritte means when sattva guna is dominant. Dehabrata is a jivatma. You have to add ajnani jivatma. Pralayam yati. Pralayam is, of course, Mrityu over here. So Deha Vritu literally means the one who is supporting a body, which is what the RC, the Jivatma Ajnani. And Pralayam is Maranam. Death of the individual is Vyashti Maranam, not Samashti Maranam. What is Samashti Maranam called? Pralayam. Therefore, here the word Pralayam is used, but we have to take it as Vyashti Maranam, death of the individual Jiva's physical body. What will happen if Sattva is predominant when this Jivatma drops the body? Amalan Lokan Pratipadyate. He will go to Amalan Lokan, pure Lokas, which is Punya Pradhana Loka. The purity is in terms of higher degree of Punya. So you have lokas like Overloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka. All these are Punya dominant. So what is the idea conveyed? When Punya is dominant, you will have a better body. A better body gives you the capacity to enjoy higher level of happiness. Right? And Amalan therefore means Mala Rahita, free from impurities. Like Mala. Mala here means sorrow, etc. Okay. Pratipadyate, he will reach. And who are the residents of this higher loka? Uttama Vidam. Vidam is the Upasakas. Uttama Vidam. Senior, pure Upasakas. Shankara adds Mahadaditva. Devatas like Mahat. Mahat means Hiranyagarbha. So this particular loka, which is inhabited by Hiranyagarbha. And Uttama Vidam Lokan can also be understood as those lokas which are gained by very committed Saguna Ishvara Upasakas. So Sattva Guna, if the body dies, then the Jivatma, Ajnana Jivatma, goes to these lokas. This is for the Sattva Pradhana Purusha. When you say that he dies when Sattva is dominant, remember that we are talking about the Guna mix. So he is predominantly Sattva Pradhana Jivatma. What about Rajo Pradhana? So we look at the next verse number 15. Rajasi pralayam gatva
Rajasi
Rajasi
pralayam gatva
pralayam gatva
karma sanghishu jayate
karma sanghishu
कर्मसु
jayate
जायते
tatha pralinastamasi
तथा
तथा
तमसि
mudhayonishu jayate.
मूढयोनिषु
मूढयोनिषु
जायते
So this verse deals with the death of the physical body of the Jivatma. The first line deals with when death occurs in Rajo predominance, and the second line deals with when death occurs in Tamo predominance. So Rajasi Gune Vivrathe, when the Rajoguna is predominant. Playam Maranam Gatva. Playam is Maranam. Maranam Gatva Prapya. Having died when the Rajoguna is dominant, what will happen? Karma Sangishu Jayate. So Shankara adds Karma Asakti Yukteshu Jayate. This person will be reborn in a loka where Karma Asakti is there, which means where jivas are attached to karmas. And in which loka is that?
Bhuloka.
In Bhuloka, Manusha Loka only, right? So because karma pradhana loka is only Bhuloka, Manusha Loka. Why is that so? Because all the higher lokas are said to be bhoga lokas only. You can do karma only in this loka. All other lokas, the capacity to initiate karma is not said to be there. Karma could be done, but only as driven by your prarabdha karma. And that is why we say that Manusha Loka Janma is very rare. Okay, then that is the first set of idea conveyed. That if the person, Jivatma, dies when his Rajaguna is predominant, which you understand as when a Rajoguna predominant Jivatma dies. So that slight change in understanding is necessary. Whenever we say when Rajoguna is predominant, he will die, it doesn't mean that the Sattva-guna personhood suddenly dies when his Rajoguna is predominant. Because we said earlier that gunas are also going in rotation. So here the understanding is that when the Rajoguna predominant person dies, he will be born again in Manushaloka. Then what? Tatha pralinaha tamasi. When the person dies who has tamoguna predominance, Muda yoni sujayate. He is born in the lower janmas. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, all this. Right? And Shankara adds here, Muda yonishu means Pashvadi yonishu. Pashva adi yonishu. Wombs of animals, insects, birds, etc. etc. Remember here that you can take Muda yoni as the lower lokas. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, etc. But because of Shankara's addition, Mudha Yoni means Pashvadi Yoni. You can also take it as Bhuloka, born in Bhuloka, but as an animal insect, etc. That little distinction is necessary because otherwise you won't explain why there are lower than human life animals here. Okay. So even if they are born in Bhuloka, they will be born as animals, plants, etc., where there is no free will to acquire fresh karmas. And this is a definition of Buddha Yoni. A yoni, a womb where the Jivatma's intellect is not evolved enough to be able to to have free will, and therefore to be able to take decisions and do karma. Okay. So what is the idea conveyed? That clarity of mind, the ability to be aware of everything, the ability to analyze, decide what is right, what is wrong. This is all necessary during a lifetime, but it is absolutely necessary at the time of your death. And if this is to happen, if your analysis, skill analysis, awareness, clarity of mind is to be there at the time of death, which means if you have to be sattva pradhanam, right? Clarity of mind, analysis, etc., is what belonging to sattva guna. So if you have to have all these qualities predominant at the time of your death, then you should also extrapolate that you should have been practicing it regularly throughout your life. Which is why Sadguna is supposed to be so important. Cultivation of Sadguna is what helps to reinforce the Sattva Guna and make it predominant. And regular cultivation of Sadguna, regularly practicing Sadguna, entrenches Sattva as dominant. And once Sattva is entrenched as dominant, at the time of death also, you should hopefully be Sattva Pradhana. Okay, now we look at the next one, verse number 16. Karmanaha sukritasyahu
Mana sukratasyahu
satvikam nirmalam phalam
Tatvikam nirmalam phalam
rajasastu phalam dukkham
phalam
jnanam tamasa phalam.
jnanam tamasa phalam.
So you can understand the topic of gati is over, and this is the topic of phalam. The previous two slokas we talked about gati, direction of travel, and this is the topic of phalam, the consequence. Now the question is, what is the difference? Why does Krishna talk about two things, gati and phalam? Ultimately, they mean the same thing, the consequence. What would you say is the difference between Gati and Phala? Because direction of travel is also consequence.
Omji.
हाँ बोलिए.
So Gati is after death, means a consequence, but after that, but Phalam is in this while existing, right?
Yes, excellent, Vaishnavi. So this is the difference. Gati is consequence after the death of the physical body. Phalam is the consequence while living. Right. So here he says, Sukritasya karmanaha. Sukritasya karmanaha means Satvikasya karmanaha, means all Satvik karma, which we can re-understand as Nishkama karma, karma without desire. Okay, now there is a difference, and there is a commentator called Rama Raya Kavi. Rama Raya Kavi is a commentator of the Gita. He says Sattvika karma is to be understood as Nishkama karma, but Nishkama Dharmika karma. Right? And Rajasika karma is Sakama Dharmika karma. So in both Sattvika as well as Rajasika karma, the Dharmika component is there. What differentiates Sattvika karma is Nishkama Dharmika. Rajasika karma is Sakama Dharmika. So Sattvika karma is selfless dharmic action. Rajasika karma is selfish dharmic action, focused on my benefits. What then is Tamasika karma? Tamasika karma is Adharmika karma. So he distinguishes very clearly Sattvika and Rajasika both are Dharmika karma, but one is Nishkama, one is Sakama. Tamasika karma, on the other hand, is Adharmika karma. And therefore, Ahuhu. You look at the word Ahuhu. Ahuhu, Shankara says, Shishtaha Ahuhu. The persons who have studied the Shastram, they say, right? So Krishna is saying, Shishtaha means Krishna is not saying, I am saying, Krishna is saying that the persons who have studied Vedanta, they declare Phalam Satvikam. When a Satvika person undertakes some activity, what is a Sattvika activity? We saw long ago an activity which benefits a large number of people. Okay. Phalam is Nirmalam. Sattvika Phalam Nirmalam. Phalam is he has done those karmas without selfish desire. He is not worried about the results. He is free from stress and anxiety. So phalam is nirmala, without any fault, which means without tensions, without anxiety, without stress. Whereas rajasastu phalam, a rajasic person does what? Selfish activity. We said it could be very much dharmic, but it is selfish activity. And when it is selfish activity, remember that your focus is on what am I getting out of it. And therefore, there is anxiety, there is stress, irritation, intolerance, anger, temper, everything is there. There is expectation of getting a favorable result. While the Sattvika person, he is done nishkamataya, without any expectation at all. He just wants good to happen to the rest of the people. He may get some good out of it also. Remember, it might benefit him also, but the focus is on the benefit for others. And therefore, he is without desire, he is doing it for the benefit of others. Loka sangramevapi, he does it. And therefore, he is not too much bothered about what is coming out of it. Therefore, he is free from stress, anxiety, and tension. While the Rajasika person, he is expecting to get something. And therefore, there will be anger, resentment, tension. So, there is neither physical nor mental health. Because whenever there is tension, your physical health is also affected. Therefore, he says, Phalam Rajasaha Dukkham. Sorrow is the ultimate consequence of a Rajasic action. Remember, a very nice, subtle message is here. Rajasika karma is painful, of course, but the karma phalam is also painful. So then you might say that, okay, I can understand that Rajasika karma is painful because I have to make efforts. But if the karma gives a favorable result, how is it painful? What is the result? What is the answer to that?
Then maintenance. Temporarily it is pleasure, but still it's painful because in such when we get such a result, more attachment will be
You will
there.
want to hold on to that which you cannot hold on to the extent it is painful. Okay. So remember that in Rajya karma, the karma itself is painful, though the karma phalam could be temporarily pleasurable, right? But supposing, so as a karta, it is painful, as a bhokta, it is pleasurable. Rajasic karma. But there is no guarantee that karma gives favorable results. And therefore, when it gives a non-favorable result, there is double the pain. As a karta, it is painful. As a bhokta, also it is painful. Then the third guna, tamasaha karmanaha phalam. Whenever there is a tamasic transaction, what is a tamasic transaction? I don't do anything. I get up in the morning, I have been sleeping in my bed. Then I go to the sofa and I lie down there. So I am either sleeping or sleeping. Since no activity is being done, there is no dukkham also. There is no tension. Right? So he says, phalam tamasaha ajnanam. Right? Now the question is a subtle question. The Krishna is saying that the fruit of tamasic personality is ajnanam. But is it so? Because it is not tamasika karma which produces ajnanam. Ajnanam is already there. That is why it is tamasic. Then why does Krishna say phalam tamasa ajnana? The fruit of tamas is ajnana.
Because you will never get out of Ajnanam.
You will never get out of ajnanam. So it is a perpetuation of ajnanam, which is the result of tamasic karma. So phalam tamasa ajnanam means that ajnanam which you already have, it will continue to be perpetuated. It will not go away because you are not making the effort. For that effort, you require rajas. Okay. Now, verse number 17. We will chant. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam.
Sattva
Sattvat sanjayate jnanam.
Rajaso lobha eva cha.
Rajaso
Rajaso
Lobha eva cha.
Pramada mohau tamasaha.
Pramadamo tamaha.
Vato jnanam eva cha.
Bhavato
Bhavato jnanameva cha.
Okay. So sattvat. Sattvat means, Shankara adds, when Sattva is dominant. From Sattva. Sattva literally means from Sattva. But it has to mean that when Sattva guna is dominant, which means when the mind is alert and when all the jnanendriyas are functioning properly without any obstruction, what will happen? Jnanam sanjayate. Jnanam will be born. Very clearly indicated that Paravidya requires Sattva guna. Of course, it doesn't mean that Apara Vidya does not require Sattva guna. Any Vidya requires Sattva guna because knowing anything, understanding anything requires a bright and active mind. And therefore, Sanjayata Jnanam, Jnanam will be born. You have to understand that Paravidya also requires Sattva Jnana. Apara also requires Sattva guna. Then, Rajasaha, Lobaha. You have to add Sanjayate. From Rajas comes greed. I want to do more karma. I want more karma phalam. There are ambitions, there are plans, there are schemes, there are buildings, there is expansion. You know, till my last breath, there is no tripti at all. I am never satisfied. And that is why you see that in many companies, when the man is 95 years old, he doesn't want to leave his chairmanship of the company, but he's too old to really contribute. But he doesn't want to leave. So what does he do? You guys don't know, are not familiar with what they do. He remains honorary chairman. So there's an executive chairman and there's an honorary chairman. This chap doesn't do anything. Why? But he can't let go. So that is what Rajas does to you. And then tamaso pramada mohau sanjayate. The result of tamas is omission. Pramada and moha. Omission and delusion. Carelessness and delusion. So moha means delusion, misunderstanding everything. Understanding what is right as wrong and understanding what is wrong as right. That is the hallmark of delusion. And pramadaha is of course carelessness. Right. So here again, Ramaraya Kavi, he adds something. He said Ajnanam has to be taken as Nidra. So this person who is strongly tamasic, he has only two avasthas, sleeping or sleeping. Right? Yes. Therefore, this Ajnanam means sleep, not the Mula Vidya. Now we look at verse number 18. We will chant. Urdvam gachanti sattvasthaha
ऊर्ध्वं
ऊर्ध्वं
गच्छन्ति
गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्थाः
मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः
मध्ये
मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः
धन्यगुणवृत्तिस्थाः
जघन्यगुणवृत्ताः
अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः
अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः.
So this is a summarization of the topic of Gati. The topic of Gati we saw in verse number 14 and 15, right? Yeah. So this is a summarization. So he says Sattvasthaha, which is the person who has been established in Sattva. And Shankara adds that Sattva Vritti. You have to be established in Sattva Vritti. So Vritti can refer to the thoughts or it can refer to the internal mindset also. So the person who is established in a sattvic way of thinking and therefore in a sattvic way of lifestyle also, for him, urdvam gachanti. He goes up. And Shankara adds over here, Deva Loka Adishu Utpatyante, which means urdvam gachanti has to be understood as he is reborn in the lokas where devatas are there. Therefore, they are born in higher lokas in general. Bhuvaloka, Suvaloka, Mahaloka, Janahaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, right? So, I hope you guys are aware. There are 14 lokas, right? And 6 lokas are up and 7 lokas are down. And we are in the middle. So, not exactly middle because there are 6 up and 7 down. But anyway, out of the 14, we are 1. So, this Manushya Loka is in the middle. So, Madhye Tishtanti Rajasaha. So, that's why he uses the term Madhye. Madhye Tishtanti means that person remains. Tishtanti literally means remains. So Madhye Tishtanti Rajasaha, the person who is Rajasic predominant while when he dies, what happens to him? He remains in Bhulaka only. They are reborn as Manushyas and they stagnate. The point is what? That they have not spiritually advanced and they are not spiritually at a downfall also. Then Jaganya Vinavrittistha. So the word Jaganya means inferior, the lower parts, lowest gunas. So tamasa, those who have tamasic predominance when they die, they continue in the Jaganya Vrittihisthaha. They continue to have negative mindsets. They continue in the lowest guna. And whoever is in that guna, Nidra Alasyadihi, he will remain in the lifestyle consisting of Nidra and Alasya. Nidra is sleep, Alasya is negligence. And Adogachanti, they go downwards. And Shankara adds very pertinently, they are Mudaha, they are fools. And then Adaha Gachanti, Shankara adds, Pashvadishu Utpadyante, they are born in lower bodies like Pashus, animals, etc. So there is a small little verse, it's called Subhashitam. These are all small verses in Sanskrit which are very nice to know. So he says Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha. What does it mean? Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha. Vihina means don't have. Anybody?
Sahitya means not reading books, good books.
Sahitya is taken as arts. Sahitya Kala.
Okay. And Sangeeta means, of course, music.
Music. So Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha. Those people who do not have the refined mind necessary to enjoy arts and music. What is the Sakshat Pashu? He is really an animal, but Pucha Vishana Hinaha. So Pucha Hinaha is animal, but Pucha Hinaha, he doesn't have tails. And Vishana Hinaha, he doesn't have horns. Okay, so very nice. Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha Sakshat Pashuhu Pucha Vishana Hinaha. This man who doesn't have the refinement of mind to enjoy arts or music, he really is nothing but an animal. The only difference is he doesn't have tails and horns. Right. Trunam na khadan api jiva manaha. So trunam is what? You forget the Upanishad that you studied. Trunam means grass.
Grass?
Trunam na khadan api jiva manaha. He lives na khadan api, without eating grass also. And tad bhagyadheyam paramam pashuna. Tad bhagyadheyam. The fact that he is an animal, but he lives without eating grass, is paramam bhagyam pashuna. It is a great good fortune of animals. Why? Because even though he is an animal, he is not in competition for their food, which is grass. Very, very nice little side, Sukashada. Anyway, saying that refinement of mind is very important to qualify yourself as a human being. Because it is that refinement of mind which will enable you to come to Chitta Shuddhi and then come to Jnana. Okay. One small point here. We say higher lokas, lower lokas, etc. We say Swarga Loka is higher, Patala Loka is lower. But we should add here that it is Shastra says very clearly that this word Urdhvam and Adho, higher and lower, they should not be understood to indicate a spatial location. Because according to Shastra, each loka has a different time and space. And that is why you can never locate another loka in terms of Bhuloka time and space. Right? Like it's like completely different time frame and space frame also. Your dream house and dream car, you will never find them in the waking time, right? Because though they are there, the time and space frame are different. So only in dream time and dream space You can talk about your dream house and dream car, but they are not available in Goloka time and space. Why time? Because you'll find that during a dream, you have gone through a whole lifetime, but the dream could be only 5 minutes. Therefore, dream time cannot be talked about in Goloka. Dream space also cannot be talked about in Goloka. Therefore, the word higher and lower, urdhvam and adho, they don't mean in terms of time and space, but in terms of quality. Therefore, urdhvam loka means qualitatively superior loka, which means that your body and sense organs are of a higher quality and they enable you to have a higher level of refinement. Okay. Similarly, urdhvam, madhyama, adoha are all terms of quality, not in terms of location. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. So we go to the next verse.
Oh, Acharya
Yeah.
I've, if when a person dies due to some illness, you said now, is it tamas? I mean, unconscious like that?
No.
Many people die in
You're talking
hospital.
about the predominant guna. What is the predominant lifestyle of that person?
Okay. Even if he's unconscious for 2 days in the hospital?
Yes. What was the predominant lifestyle?
Okay.
Okay. Now, verse number 19 we will chant. Nanyam gunebhyak kartaram
नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारम्
yada drashtanupashyati
यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति
gunebhyascha param vetti
गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति
madbhavam sodhi
मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति.
Okay, so this verse is introduced by Shankara. He says that you should recall an earlier verse. Karanam guna sangyosya sadasad yoni janmasu. What does it mean? Karanam guna sangaha asya sad asad yoni janmasu. Very simple Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Guna sangaha is what?
Having three gunas
Sangaha
And-
means what?
with
Attachment.
Bound to. Yeah.
Bond. Guna sangaha, attachment to the gunas. Karanam is cause. Sad asad yoni janmasu. So, attachment to the gunas is the cause of the superior and inferior births. This is what Shankara says you should recall because this was there in an earlier mantra, which is the 13th verse, 21st mantra, I think. Anyway. So here in his introduction, he gives a small little summary. I'll give you the English version. Okay. He says, Adhyasa, superimposition, is the cause of samsara for a human being. And what is the superimposition? It consists of mistaking the body-mind complex as myself, the Atma. And the person who has made this mistake, the person who has committed the mistake of having this identification with the BMSC, body mind sense complex, which we call Deha Abhimanam, body identification. For such a person, the three gunas will generate emotions in the mind. Very, very beautiful little analysis of what is the problem with adhyasa. You are not the mind. The mind will continue to have problems. But should you take yourself as the mind because of adhyasa, because of being ajnani, then the three gunas which will generate the emotions in the mind, those emotions will belong to you because you have identified yourself as the mind. Okay. Now, for example, sattva. What is the emotion which comes out of sattva? Happiness. Out of rajas comes sorrow. Out of tamas comes delusion. These three emotions, they belong to the anatma mind. But because of the adhyasa, I accept ownership of the mind and therefore ownership of the emotions. And therefore I say, I am happy, I am sorrowful, I am deluded. And therefore he says, this ownership, this adhyasa is the cause of samsara. It's a very, very subtle point. The primary emotions which are in the mind, which means the disturbances of the mind, is not samsara. You get what I'm saying? The emotions in the mind, the disturbances of the mind are not samsara. What is samsara?
Identifying with those
Ownership of those emotions.
that I
Claiming that those disturbances are mine. That is samsara. It's a very beautiful point made. Mind is anatma, it will continue to be disturbed. Beyond a certain point, the mind cannot be refined. Most refined mind will continue to have disturbances. You might have the best mind in the world, but if you identify with that mind, you are still a samsari because you have claimed those very minimal emotions in the mind as yourself, and they are emotions only, they don't belong to you. The three bodies will always have a problem. So what is jnanam? Acknowledge that three bodies will have problems, but don't claim them as my problem. That is Vedanta. Acknowledge that your hair is gray. Acknowledge that your body is stiff. Acknowledge that the mind is angry. Acknowledge that the mind is jealous. But don't claim them as yourself or your problems. Say they belong to the Anatma. This is Vedanta. So, with the last verse, the analysis of the three gunas has been completed, right? What are the points that have been made? Number one, everybody has three gunas. The live body mind complex, which we call RC or Ahankara, consists of what all? Aram and the OC reflected in the RM. The RM is body, mind. This reflected OC, which we call the RC, is called Ahankara. And the body, mind is Anatma. Therefore, it will definitely have three gunas. Therefore, the live body, mind, RC, can never escape from the three gunas. You can never be guna atitaha, beyond the three gunas. You will always be either sattva guna predominant, or you will be rajoguna predominant, or you will be tamoguna predominant. You can do a lot of sadhana and be sattva predominant only, but you will still have rajas and tamas. Each of the gunas binds. Therefore, whatever be your predominance, bondage cannot be avoided. Even sattva guna binds, rajoguna binds, tamoguna binds. And that is why we say, I should transcend the three gunas, become guna athitaha. Krishna himself says, become guna athita, go beyond the gunas. Now, in the light of the discussion, what does guna atitaha mean? Beyond the gunas, untouched by gunas, nirguna. Right? Now, let me examine myself, the jiva. What are the components of a jiva?
Anatma, Atma.
Anatma, Atma. Atma is consciousness principle. Anatma is an inert principle.
Mm.
Is there a third component?
No.
You have forgotten RC. When you say Anatma, it is RM.
Hmm.
When you say Atma, it is OC. What happened to RC? And therefore, whenever you say Jivatma, there are two components, RM and RC. But you must always remember that along with this, OC is also present. Why?
Because without OC, this will in Anatma will not work.
OC is always
It's
there.
always there because of OC only presence of everything. That
You are not. If you say RC, are you not postulating OC?
yes, because RM plus OC is only RC.
RM, I would rather put it OC reflected in the RM is RC. Okay. So remember that whenever you say I, Jivatma, you are OC plus RM plus RC. And Vedantic terms, RM plus RC is called Ahankara. OC is Sakshi. And therefore, the Jivatma has three components, OC, RM, RC, or Ahankara plus Sakshi. Right? Now, if you look at the Ahankara, the component of RM is always there, body mind complex,
Yes.
because that is where the OC is reflected. Since the OC is reflected in the RM, which is three gunas, can this RC ever be free of three gunas?
No.
No.
No. And therefore, RC can never become guna athita. At the most, the RC Ahankara by proper sadhana can become Sattva Guna Pradhana. But it cannot become Guna Atita. It cannot go beyond three gunas because RM means three gunas. Okay. Therefore, we have agreed that Ahankara Jiva can never become Guna Atita. What about the other component, Sakshi, OC? How do you make Sakshi beyond three gunas?
But Sakshi can never go beyond three gunas because, of course, it's free from gunas. It's guna atitaha.
Exactly. Sakshi is already Gunatita because of Nirguna. And therefore, what is the idea being conveyed? The Ahankara can never transcend the Gunas. The Sakshi need not transcend the Gunas. One component of you is forever trapped in the Gunas. The other component of you is forever beyond the Gunas. And therefore, to ask the question, how do I transcend the Gunas? That question itself is wrong. To a wrong question, there can be no right answer. What is the answer? I have to shift my identification from I am the Ahankara to I am the Sakshi. I am the Ahankara is forever trapped in gunas. I am the Sakshi is forever free of gunas. The journey is from Anatma to Atma, from body mind to consciousness, from Kshetram to Kshetrajna. As long as you say I am Saguna Ahankara, you will never escape from samsara. Instead of saying I am the body with a sakshi, say that I am the sakshi, temporarily using an incidental body given by Ishvara. Then the question comes, if I do not identify with ahankara, how will I do any worldly transactions? Right? The answer is midway. There is nothing wrong in identifying. Identify with the body mind complex. Do the transaction, withdraw. go back to the green room. Just like the actor on the stage identifies with the role, but is fully aware that he is playing a role. Therefore, in this world, always recall, I am Guna Atita Sakshihi, but I am transacting this world through the Saguna Ahankara, which is never free of gunas. Sakshi is pervading in and through the three bodies. It enlivens the three bodies. But as Shankara says, na punyam, na papam, na saukhyam, na dukham, na mantro, na tirtham, na veda, na yajnaha. You are forever free of any transactions. You have no punyam, you have no papam, you have no sukham, you have no dukham. You don't need mantras, you don't need tirthams, you don't need the Veda, you don't need the yajna also. So that Sakshi Chaitanyam you are. And therefore look at the verse. Yada drishtaha, when the one who sees, when the wise man, na anupashyanti, does not see, gunebhya na anya kartar. When the wise man does not see a karta other than the three gunas. Gunebhya na anya kartara. He knows that there is no karta in the universe other than the three gunas. And one is gunaha. Shankara adds very nice line over here. Gunaha means karya, karana, vishaya, akara, parinataha. Parinataha means transform. So he says that those very gunas, they have changed, they have transformed into karya, karana, vishaya, body, indriyas, and world. The world is nothing but your gunas. Your body is nothing but the gunas. The sense organs are nothing but the gunas. Where have we seen this idea earlier? Long ago. Tatta vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho gunaguneshu vartante yathi matvara sajjate. So Shankara says these three gunas alone are available as everything in this world. The body-mind complex as well as the world itself. And therefore it is only the gunas who do karma, not you, because you are the Atma who is akarta. So one who recognizes this fact that all karmas belong to the Anatma, he is a wise man. The RC can never stop doing karma. If you have to transcend karma, if you have to transcend kartatvam, you have to come to Atma alone. And this also we have seen earlier. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So he says, Gunebhish param vetti. He knows that this person is different from the gunas. He knows that he is the sakshi of the gunas and the work done by the gunas. So understand that you are the sakshi of your wife. You are the sakshi of your husband. You are the sakshi of your children. Ultimately, remember that you are the sakshi of your body-mind complex itself. When a wise man understands this, saha mat bhavam agachati. He attains my own nature. And Krishna says, mad bhavam is mama bhavam. Mama bhavam means he knows that he is not different from me. This is Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. And how does he know this? Through Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam alone. And Shankara writes, Tatham adhigachati iti uchyate. How is it that he is to attain this oneness with the Paramatma? How to get Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam? This is Uchyate. This is now being said where in the next verse, which we shall see in the next class. Okay. Any questions? Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate Om Shanti
Shanti,
Shanti
Shanti.
Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om
Thank you
Tat
for your
Sat. Om
patience.
Namah Shivaya.
Shivaya.
Thank you, Acharya ji.